listeners, I want you to hear that we're very excited to share the Under the Yoga Mat, the material that Else has spent the last number of years really collating and putting together, um, using this podcast platform, Survivor Stories, but also many, many other sources, academic, written, other audio and podcasts, as well as um, print, as well as academic, as well, all these different sources that we've may or may not seen because you may or may not be on Facebook. You may or may not have been in that particular Zoom call when these particular stories got shared. And the reason you and I have connected is because in the midst of me creating a platform of truth telling, you wanted snippets to put up there. And I'm all for taking a 3-hour podcast and taking a 4-minute or a 15-minute version of that and slapping it up on a website, as Else did, in the heart of 2020, or maybe it was 2021, because the podcast started at the end of 2020. And what I felt like it was serving was the mission that I felt Else has always been on, which is just exposing the truth.
Yeah.
Whoever is sourcing the file, we're sourcing it. Do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So maybe one thing I want to say is that all the if we tell survivor stories in the book, it's the people whose stories are told gave us their approval. So there's nothing that we brought that is not approved by the people who tell stories.
And it's a part of why I decided to collaborate with you, because when having clips on your website was one thing, but to have your words put on paper is a different experience. And as a child of this community, we're very sensitive to other people coming in and telling stories, even if it's our quotes, because we've had that happen. And so I really wanted to be a part of what I felt you to be on a bigger mission. I felt like, I lived in East Africa, and I was married to an East African man for many years, and I was connected to South Africa and Pritam. I was also connected to Krishna Kar. So we had this kind of synergy, Else and I. So when she did move from having clips of my podcast on her site to wanting to move into the print version, I felt like in order for this to be done well and for your work to be received properly, um, as a child of the community, I wanted to add my voice and credibility and connection to make sure that it was a safe zone and that people really knew that you meant well. This isn't you trying to line your pockets and make money. This is a nonprofit endeavor. And all this is donated, all the profits, are going to be donated to the work, to cult survivors and children that are abused. And so you can speak to that as well. But again, it's why I wanted to collaborate with you, is because our stories kind of overlapped in interesting ways.